I've been thinking about some guidelines and kind of like rules, but I guess rules that will be shaped and broken over time, but more like pillars for this channel, this community. And I guess what's important to me and hopefully what resonates with a broader audience. So let's just go through it. I think a big part of my life, or what really, when I reflect and think back, what really resonates with me is adventure. And I think that's really important. I don't think I've really found a way to bring that to the channel just yet as a value or as a pillar or as an aspect. Looking for ways to inject it into the content I make. But maybe we can have an ongoing dialogue about how to do that. So recently I released episode 51, or at least today. It's Thursday, November. I don't know where we are. Somewhere in November. I can't believe I lost track of time. But tomorrow is the release of episode 51 premiere. And Dewan shares his journey. And I've been thinking maybe, as he says on, even though Dewan has gone through a pretty big failure for someone who's in his early 30s, or at least how traditionally people would frame it, he's on a new journey. And I guess the beginning feels like an adventure. And what I've been thinking is maybe with each milestone, right? I guess with the people who are close to me, to kind of highlight that to you guys. So Dewan, if you follow the episode, he's in real estate. He wants to build jungle villas. I think it's interesting maybe that we can follow his journey as an adventure. Right now he's in the process looking around Selangor state in Malaysia for property to acquire. So that's the first milestone. But then, of course, he has to go about designing it. He has to go about constructing it. And he has to go about probably figuring out how to market and distribute and get product market fit, and then kind of make sure it's profitable. And I think that's following him at each of these milestones might be kind of like an adventure. And maybe we could do that with more people in the LLB universe, people around me, people in my life. So maybe that's like one idea. But adventure is the main point here, the main point about being an important value for this channel, for myself, and hopefully can resonate further. And at least we can maybe try to bring that spirit, inject it into what we create here. Secondly, I think, if you were to string all these kind of adventures together, it kind of creates a narrative for a journey, right? So journeying is important. And I think a lot of my early EOA works were just looking at people's career profiles and going it over with them. And I think, honestly, that resonated. It was kind of weird. This was at a time before podcasting was really huge or big, before video was injected into podcasting in a big way. That podcast got within a few months, got to third ranked for business in Malaysia. It was very weird. And of course, I'm not really these days targeting that. I'm targeting more broader audiences. But I just happen to be based in Malaysia for now. But I think journeys are important, and I think what we can learn and get from them and find meaning in our lives are hopefully something that resonates. And by planting those seeds in the early days with EOA, I think it's been very clear that is something that resonates. And it was always more of a question do I want to cultivate that audience? And that's kind of where I got lost. But connecting adventures to journey. 2 points, right? Third, I probably got this kind of value from my parents, for better or for worse, but I think independence and individuality. So we got to show up here authentically. We got to be ourselves. We got to express ourselves in the most authentic way as possible. And I try to do that with the people who will be on here. Even though a big part of LLB has been about talking about trending topics, and of course, got a little bit out of our wheelhouse. Wasn't the best kind of content, but when it's stuff we talked about, it's great. But I think each of the co-hosts who were with me on the main episodes, and as I kind of branch out to more different types of content, but every co-host or every guest, are trying to highlight them authentically themselves in their views from where they come from. And hopefully that's something that's differentiated, something other people will appreciate. We are from different parts of different worlds, different cultures, and we bridge a lot of different cultures too, from east to west, to having multiple identities. And being in Southeast Asia is kind of like that, especially when you're an English-speaking sphere. So independence and individuality, and hopefully the sources and the people and the ideas kind of keep highlighting that into the content. So that's 3 points. Fourth point, I think, deep relationships. I just don't do well. I don't operate well with shallow or flaky kind of people. I'm not saying this in a judgmental kind of way. I think there are times where it's very practical in business and networking where you maintain a relationship for a certain dimension. And I think some people actually primarily operate that way and do very well. Right? And, there's no judgment about that. But I think for this channel, for me, this value, this pillar for this community, I think we should go deep with the people that we bring on here. I think with the ideas, I don't know. I just, relationships, I prefer deep relationships, so that's an important pillar. Fifth pillar, or value, pursuit of greatness and mastery. I think that's very important. It's just something that resonates with me. Like whatever I'm doing, whatever project I'm engrossed in, or whatever cooking or hobby or learning, I like to pursue mastery. Maybe it's tied to like deep relationships. I like to think deeper about things and try to get to that level where, you're approaching a craftsman. And so I think that'll be a very important part of this channel too. I think the sixth point, the last point, the main point in terms of values, aside from, we'll get on to creating after this, but the sixth point would be solving hard problems. And this concept has been taken from a Paul Graham essay, which I'll share in the link and it'll pop up here. But solving hard problems keeps us upwind. What does that mean? I think that probably deserves a whole episode on itself. But if you are curious, you could probably click through and try to figure it out yourself. But I'll make a video on that later. So in terms of creating, I think why I didn't create before or enough or regularly was living in the analytical, right? And I want to create without worry, at least for now. At least we're at the stage of the journey where it's early enough where we will just create and not worry. And as you can see, this video in itself is kind of like a step progression of worry. Like, we're putting constraints now, but the constraints and the discipline and showing up in the habits squeezes out creativity, right? It allows you to express within these constraints, which create new value. And so, but for now, at the very least, when we are at where we are at this current trajectory, maybe for the next few hundred subscribers, that will keep changing more and evolving. But for now, if you want to keep seeing me, we're going to create without worry. And in that process, the most important part is enjoying it, enjoying the process. And I've been actually just enjoying this. It's been very weird getting used to talking to a camera. And I've been doing the whole script thing. This is one video where it's not scripted, but bullet pointed. And you probably could see that it flows a little bit more naturally. But either way, scripted, unscripted, whatever, I've been really kind of getting used to it. There's always the initial inertia against you, but showing up in small ways consistently, you can overcome some of these things. And this concept applies to whatever in life, right? So, especially with solving hard problems, when they're very hard, break it down and just show up and keep doing a little bit, and then you'd be surprised how fast things can compound, how fast value can compound, just like the concept of money, right? Just compound interest. You get much further in life when you can do this kind of things and enjoy the process, right? So it's a little bit of a tangent and a rant there, but the point was enjoying the process, creating without worry. And in that, of course, ultimately is having fun. And I think I try to have fun with my guest. The longer, more intellectual stuff or the topical stuff about learnings, it's not a strong entertainment value, but I think inherently it's very fulfilling. And I think if someone can learn something from that, that's what I've been attracted to about long form podcasts this whole entire time, is that within a 1 or 2 hour thing, it's a very natural conversation. You get to a feel for the person. You're like sitting in the room, and then you get a gems that pop up, I guess, or little bits and pieces here of what's meaning for you at your current stage in your life. And I think that's what I kind of want to kind of keep moving forward with. Having fun in that process, right? Enjoy the process, and then in these longer things, it's fun, I guess. Yeah, well, I guess that was the point. The point is that, even though we may think fun as this kind of ha 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 kind of moment, but the fun is in the learning, the fun is in the improving, the fun is in the mastery. And of course, I think over time, being more authentic to ourselves can balance that naturally with actual ha ha ha, if that makes sense. But so it's, creating without worry, enjoying the process, and having fun. And so, like, for the longer format stuff, I think I want to bring more people and mix them up together. I think that's kind of interesting. And did I enjoy the conversation with these people? And did the guest enjoy it? And I think the crafting part over time can ensure the audience enjoys it too, right? Getting better at editing, the pre-process, the structuring of the content beforehand, balancing the structure of process with the randomness, the authenticity, and the spontaneity of it. And then during the process, getting better at that. I've been making up for the weakness of the recording processes with people through edits, post-editing. But inherently over time, if I can think about how I am in the moment with the people and be fully present and improve myself, there's like so many layers that, that the crafting for the audience gets better, right? So showing up, did I enjoy it? Did the guest enjoy it? I think that's been the primary driving force from the early days of EOA to LLB. And that only takes you so far, I think. And then as you keep progressing and keep showing up, and then you craft it better. And I'm thinking audience kind of last now, right? Every YouTuber will tell you, every content creator will tell you, title, thumbnail, audience. And I do kind of use that in a sense to help with the pre-process. But I'm not so obsessed to the point where it stops my creation. And it's more along the lines like, what I want to do is ensure the crafting is good enough, but because audience is in a sense coming last, right? That's really contradictory, I guess. It's a weird balance of, yes, I want to think about audience to some degrees and structure it in the pre-process, but in the post, but I want to kind of go through the iteration of me first, guest, and then also making the craft process will make it better for the audience over time. I don't know if that made sense, but that's all you're going to get. And then connecting with the people I engage with, I guess. This is where I'm at with the creation process. Partial update. I think if you were to thread this back to your own life, like how could you make this useful for your own life? Think about your own values. I did this back in early 2023, I think. And I mean, I guess early 30s is like that. You're at this point in your life where you really want to spend time more meaningfully. Time just flies by. I never thought I'd be 37 this fast. Part COVID's fault, but regardless of that, I don't know if without COVID it would have been any different or maybe worse, right? But think about what values matter to you and how you bring that forward to your life. What's important to you? How do you interact with the people around you? How do you want to connect in this world? And then what are you creating, right? What are you creating in your life that has meaning for you, whatever it is? Whether if it's the most mundane of 9-to-5 jobs, but then how can you find yourself in that or outside of that, or the additional things you do after your job? What values have led you to that? Maybe to help you think about your life more purposefully and help with whatever you want to create. It doesn't have to be a YouTube channel. It could be better mastering your hobbies or whatever. Being a better person, a better friend, a better lover, So maybe there are broad applications in this content here in itself. At least I've thought about this for myself, and I want to bring it into my work. I want to bring it to the creation process as guidelines, and it will keep evolving. And hopefully you keep evolving, we keep evolving, and we grow together, guys. That's what I got for today.